Alright guys, we're going to start in a few minutes, so everybody take your seats. I hope those guys online see everything and hear everything clearly.
I'm waiting for
Okay, welcome to this webinar about the IMT UAS Challenge. Today we're going to talk to you about the various aspects of the competition. If this thing works. Here we go. So we're going to have an overview of the PDR and the general feedback from the judges. You should have all received your feedback forms. Then we'll go into the CDR requirements, detail all the aspects of the CDR report, and we can have a Q&A on that afterwards. Then we're going to get some of the officials to talk to you about the event logistics, the flight readiness review, demonstration event, and a bit about STEM as well during today, okay? So, first up, I'm going to hand you over to Lambert, our head judge, and he's going to take you through the PDR.
Right, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to this fantastic seminar, and for those of you at Belfast who heard this morning's talk, I hope you really took on board some of the really interesting stuff of how one really designs and builds and tests aircraft. Because this is really what we're trying to help you understand as part of this competition. So, just starting with where we've been, you've done your concept papers, you've produced your PDRs, and we've given you some feedback on those. And so now it's very shortly you're delivering the CDRs, the critical design reviews. Now, I mean, just looking at the points available, the PDR is only a small amount of the total competition. Of the 500 points, it's only 10% of the total. But as you go further forward, it starts to ramp up the pressure really, and that the CDR is worth 20% of the competition, and even the poster that we're hoping you're going to bring on the demonstration event is still worthwhile spending some time on. So the PDR, as you know, was a fairly short report covering those requirements. If we go on to the next slide, please. So, I mean, in terms of the point spread, was actually quite small at the end. 20 points for the lowest team, and that was partly attributed by the team delivering the PDR late, and so collected some penalties as a result of that. So please, for your CDRs and other things, don't risk having points taken off you. Deliver them on time, please. Not least of which is the judges have full-time jobs, and it's an awful lot to go through in a short time. We're asking a lot of them, so even if you're going to lose points here, I mean, you'll upset the judges who have got really quite a tough job to do. The top score, and there were several teams that scored the top score of 33. So, it's all to play for still. The difference is not high at the moment. Now, requirements. I mean, do please read the requirements carefully. The rules are there. And, it falls into several things. Shall things, largely legal safety things, but also specific things that the competition is trying to deliver. You must address the shall things. There's no point not addressing them, because at best you might get excluded from the competition, particularly if you fail on a shall safety point or a shall legal point. The should things are desirable, and clearly the more shoulds that you address, the more likely you are to be successful. There is guidance in the rule, which is just there to help you, and so there's bits in the rules that are there to help you. But remember, you heard this morning about customers. I mean, with the competition, the customer is setting this competition. So read carefully about what the competition is, how you're going to win this competition. And a number of you, I think, maybe missed the point that part of the mission is doing a touch and go landing. That's really quite difficult, doing that touch and go part of the way around the mission. And so, you know, do look at the whole thing. Oh, sorry, I have to hold this right in front of my mouth for the people on the end of the webinar. So that's a really important. So just keep that in mind through the competition. Examples too of things that people maybe didn't seem to understand properly. You know, is we weren't entirely convinced you all quite understood about the payload options. Certainly a lot of you didn't seem to, well, some got the flight termination system wrong, and that is an absolute fail. You're not flying if your flight termination system doesn't abide by the rules, because this is a critical safety function. But this is a good example of a customer requirement. If you were designing one to sell to the general public, you wouldn't have the flight termination system we've asked you for, because it is dangerous if you're flying just generally, because there you'll want it to come back to home, and that's the way in DJI Phantoms and things the FTS system is basically designed. We're in a different environment in Lambeth because we have a sterilised area where there's nobody underneath, and you are carrying payloads and things like that. And so that's why we've specified if the FTS is triggered, the thing just goes straight down. That's the safe place for it, because we can guarantee nobody's going to be underneath it. And so it's a good example of, you know, the customer sometimes asks for something that they really need. And that's an example. You might think you know better, but you don't. And this, you know, that's an example of a mandatory requirement. And also notice things in the rules, like, you know, the legal requirement. 60 knots is the maximum speed. It must not exceed 60 knots. Again, it's an important safety thing. Safety, I mean, aerospace, it's all about safety, and as you'll have heard in the last 5 months, I mean, there have been 2 big commercial aircraft accidents, and, you know, it's a reverse of a trend, because even with those, I mean, aerospace is still by far and away the safest form of travel. It's an awful lot safer than driving a car, for instance. But, I mean, it's done because there's a huge attention to safety. But safety isn't just about the vehicle itself. It's about your workshop practices, you know, how the total thing. So we're interested in seeing that you have got a proper safety culture, because safety only works in aerospace because the whole operation is safe. It's not just attention to the vehicle itself. Right, and the final point is, you know, it should be your original work, and we're also interested in innovation. And again, some of you, I think, missed the opportunity. You probably have some quite innovative thoughts, but unless you tell us about them and point them out, we might miss them. Okay, that I think is everything on the PDR. I'll just go straight on to the CDR, and then we can do some Q&A after that. So, right, the CDR. Now this is a longer document. Now, as you will have heard this morning, those of you that in Belfast, I mean, these reviews, I mean, this is what you should be doing, is the review. Is what you're trying to do is say, here's my set of requirements. I've now looked at these, and in your PDR, it was your first. Let's stop for a moment. Let's see, am I meeting the requirements? Is my design likely to be successful? And when you get to the critical design review, this is now where you're saying, right, I've now completed my design. I will check this against all the requirements, what I'm trying to achieve, and is that right? And if it's not, I'll go back and redesign that bit. And only then, once I've satisfied myself that this review is complete, I can then go on into production and build the product. And so you need to think in that mindset. And what we as judges are trying to look at is that you have done just that. That's what we're interested in seeing. You've looked at the requirements, you've satisfied yourself. This product is going to be fit for going to be built, and in our case, just doing a single fly-off event. And so we've structured the thing to help you sort of do it. And we were quite pleased that you did follow largely, most of you followed the instructions on the PDR of how we want your thing laid out. Because, again, these judges are very busy people, and what we do is we allocate out to at least one, well, there's always more than one judge on each section, looking at a section. And so it's really important you put the stuff in the section we ask it for. Because if it's in another section, the judge that's judging that aspect just won't read it. They haven't got time to trawl through all the detail of all these reports. So what we want in the CDR, a brief summary, descriptive summary, and we have asked you on your cover page, please just put the basic stuff we ask on the cover page, including a picture of your aircraft. We don't mind if it's a cartoon, if it's a drawing, if it's a photograph, something, because it just helps us recognise what we're looking at. Then just a brief summary. Very importantly, any changes you've made since the PDR, because we'll want to look at those particularly. So if you've made some, not trivia, but some significant design change since the PDR, tell us what it is, and we'll look at that. Sponsorship, well, you put that on the cover page, I think. Design description. This is the meat of the thing. Now, we're not there to guess about your design, so just treat it as, look, this is how I'm meeting my requirements, and write it as simply and succinctly as possible, so that we can see that you've followed a process, you've got a design that is likely to be successful in the competition. Now we have asked you, again, to help our judges to split it into two sections, an airframe section and a system section. And in the template that Christina sent out to you, we write down what we call airframe and what we call systems. It's always a cadet, people put different things in different labels, but which specify what we mean for this particular case. And I think there are 8 pages given to you, plus 3 pages of diagrams for the design description. You don't need to do 4 on airframe, 4 on systems, and 1.5 pages of diagram for each. It's just an approximate split there, but if you could just write all the airframe bits together, all the systems bits together, it's so I can then give an airframe, the airframe judges one part of it and the system judges the other part of it. Cost breakdown, again, this is particularly about the bought out costs. We're interested in how efficient you'll be with your bought out costs. Manufacturing, much like the design description, we're interested in how you're going to manufacture this thing, the processes, materials, etc. that you're using, and any special facilities you're using or equipment you're using to manufacture it. Tell us about it. Now, the support description is slightly odd in that clearly you're only doing one flight, and so clearly you've got to actually physically get the aircraft to the flight line, and some of you may have launch mechanisms that are part of that support system. But to think about it is, there is life after this one flight is that, is there anything you want to tell us about what you've done cleverly that means this is going to be a sort of low maintenance aircraft or whatever? So, do give us some clues around that. The qualification test plan, again, those of you at Belfast this morning heard about, testing and incremental testing and building up to the final flight, because, the last thing any of us want is for you to crash your aircraft on the first flight and then be unable to bring it to competition. And so, the more testing you can do up front in bits, so then slowly integrating more and more of it together, and so you get some decent confidence that this thing is going to fly. And so, what we'd like you to do is, list the major tests you're doing, what the objective of the test is, and how this validates your design. And then the safety case. Really this is an expansion of what you told us in the PDR, but it's your whole approach to safety we're interested in. It's not just the airworthiness of the vehicle, it's everything. But in terms of the vehicle, what we must be able to see is that you have really understood the flight termination system. And so just feed it back to us. Yes, it will do this when this happens in this way. It might seem, well, that's what you said in the rules, but just describe exactly how you're going to meet those rules. In the UK, there are strict rules about RF transmissions, and so you must meet those. So, although arguably it's not strictly safety, it's a legal requirement, and again, we just want to see a statement in there that how you're meeting the Ofcom, the Office of Communication Requirements for RF, and any other regulatory requirements. And we also want to see a risk matrix, a risk assessment matrix of your major risks, what they are, how you're mitigating them, and any outstanding issues. How are we doing on time? Right. I think, is that all we've got to see here? Oh yes, no, we've got one more slide, yes. So, yes, just some points. Please take note of the feedback we gave you on your PDR. Now, it may be that we just misunderstood your PDR, and you might not like the feedback we gave you. If we misunderstood the PDR, well, write it more clearly this time. So, but just please respond to what we wrote in the PDR, because there was a reason for it. I know in one particular case, we just misread the submission, and I know one team did challenge us on a statement, and we agreed. And so again, in your CDR, when we give you feedback on that, don't be frightened. We're not going to penalise you if you challenge us, if you see what I mean. We're only human, and we don't always read properly either. But on the feedback you have from PDR, the bit at the bottom about corrective actions, you must address those. And so, again, it may be that you're addressing the right, but you just haven't told us. But please, make it absolutely clear in your CDR response about that. As I said, tell us, that you have really done a critical design review. That, tell us why you think your design meets the requirement. And again, it's obvious really, but we can only give you points for what you tell us, and so there's no point keeping secrets. And and as I said, please put the stuff in the right section, as it, I mean, although I'm sure all judges will scan through the whole document, not the least of which we're all engineers and it's all interesting stuff, but I mean, but in terms of actually scoring numbers, get it in the right section. And part of this is about innovation. What we're looking for is some interesting and exciting designs, and so if you think it's innovative, just tell us, point it out. We may disagree with you, but I mean, do draw our attention to, and in fact, over coffee, talking to one team member who was explaining something, and we said, "Oh, that's interesting. We'd never guessed that from your PDR, and so I mean, it's quite an innovative idea, and there would have been no points awarded for that because we hadn't managed to read that into the document." And innovation isn't just about a clever bit of design. You can be innovative in how you're manufacturing it, or how you're going to fly it, or I mean, it can be all sorts of innovation can happen at every stage, or in your approach to safety. If you think it's innovative, tell us. And the other thing is, please ask. There are frequently asked questions which Christina loads on to the website. So when somebody asks something that we tend to try and put an answer on there. But if you don't understand something in the rules or want to ask a question, send it in to Christina. She farms it out to us, and we try and respond to it as quickly as possible. Because again, as was explained to you this morning, you have to have a relationship with your customer, as it were, and so there's no point trying to guess what the customer might have meant, or if you think, well, these two bits are inconsistent, which one is more important? Just ask the question. So, right, that's, I think, the talk bit. Sorry, it was rattled through that fairly quickly, but now we've got your opportunity for questions. Now, the way we're doing this, I think, is those of you on the webinar, if you could type in your question, because clearly it will be chaos if you all try and speak to us. Clearly in the room, if you could stick your hand up as the equivalent of typing something in. And Stephen and I will, between us, attempt to answer any questions. Yes. Extra point.
So in total then, it's 18 pages and 3 pages of diagrams. Obviously, the diagrams will be distributed. Or do you want them all in one place? Or do you want them distributed accordingly to where the description is?
We need more than one microphone. I think, as far as I recall, that it's the design section that gives you the 3 pages of diagram. It clearly is much easier to understand if the diagrams are next to the text bit. I mean, we're not going to get a ruler out and measure precisely, but I mean, the whole idea of constraining the page numbers, when we started the competition, we didn't have any constraints. And that had 2 effects. One is the poor old judges, and there were fewer teams then, it was a lot for some of them to read, and secondly, it's a lot for you to write, and you've got exams and stuff to do. So the reason why we've cut, put some constraints on is exactly that, to make both your life and our life easier. And so, so yes, so it's we don't mind. I mean, you can put 18, well, it's not 18 pages of text, it's the design bit is 8 pages of text, I think, and at the end 3 pages of diagrams, but I think most people find it easier to understand it if the diagram is next to the text.
So for risk analysis or the risks and safety issue, we already provided something on the PDR about that topics. Can we overwork and use it again in the CDR?
Well, the simple answer to that is yes. I mean, one hopes that, you know, your safety issues really haven't changed significantly since the PDR. I mean, please take note of the points that a lot of you in your PDR, and I think we were somewhat ambiguous in the rules of where to write about the flight termination system, as I think it said it in 2 different places. But you know, we realised that mistake and we looked for it in both places, if you see what I mean. But a lot of you either just said there will be a flight termination system, or puts a very scant description of it. I know it seems a bit pedantic, but because this is the principal safety part for this competition, is that we don't want your object to get anywhere near the people, and we've got school kids coming to observe this thing on both days this year, for instance, as well as obviously all of you and all of us hanging around, is that, you know, if the flight safety officer out of the pan is worried where that thing is going, he will just press the button, and we just want it to come straight down, because we know worst you can do is squash a worm or a slug or something in the grass of a front meadow.
Sorry, can I just add as well, so you guys are going to be moving from PDR, where you did a lot of analysis, to CDR, where you're going to do some component testing, manufacture and flight of your aircraft. So in regards to safety, please be clear about safety through the design process, safety through testing, doing testing plans, manufacture, about safety gear and training that you need to go to be able to manufacture your aircraft safely, and then safety obviously for the operation of the aircraft, both for the person operating and the users and spectators in the area as well.
And safety in the hangar?
Yes, and safety in the hangar as well, which will be more than expanded on by our officials later on. Okay?
Yeah, we've seen some fairly horrendous examples in past years of people with, you know, cutting things up and sanding stuff and all sorts of things. And so you'll be warned, the safety police will be out there and observing very carefully the way you do things in the hangar. And it's for your own safety, it's not, you know, you're going to damage yourselves more than anybody else, yes. I should add, I mean, not only are aircraft safe, but the aerospace industry has a very enviable reputation as being a safe place to work. Again, because the culture is just all the way there, you know, compared with the building industry and all sorts of agriculture and things like that. It is a safe environment simply because it pervades through everything we do.
Can we have any indication about how each section of the CDR is weighted? Because I assume design's going to be the heaviest bit.
It is a good question. We don't publish the weighting, but I can probably give you an idea if I can remember where I'm. Can I come back to you with that? Don't forget that at the end of the day. I'll have to look it up on my laptop. But yes, I mean, very crudely, it's sort of according to the size of the page numbers, as it were. But I mean, it's slightly nuanced around that. But you're right. I mean, design, because that's the bulk of the response, as most of the marks. But I think, I mean, do try and write what is needed in each section, and don't put all your effort into one and forget the others, because I mean, to be successful in the competition, I mean, it's laid out that way because you've really got to have thought of all of those things. So, yes.
For the support description, we have one page. If we have, for example, a technical drawing of our launch catapult, if we have technical drawings of the jigs to calibrate the aircraft, the center of gravity, that takes more than one page. Should we just do a small size technical drawing, or just forget about the page restriction?
No, whatever you do, please don't forget about the page limitation. Yeah, I know it's hard, but say we've somehow got to balance the workload of this thing, and so yeah, I mean, they always say a picture's worth 1,000 words or something. So sometimes, you know, a picture is better than loads of text in any case. So, but please do keep, you know, your very best to keep within the page count, because it's why I've got grey, you see.
Any from?
Yeah.
For the whole document, for the whole CDR, must be write operation list and a list of figures and list of tables and reference all the stuff that we had, or can we leave it out? For the whole document, operation list, a list of figures.
Oh,
list of
no,
graphs, something like that.
Yes, you mean a list of
yeah, like
no, I know some of you did that,
yeah.
but no, I mean, I know you probably have to when you're doing university stuff, but no, yeah, I mean, because we're going to be splitting the thing up, it doesn't really matter to us at all. So don't waste paper on indexes and things. We're going to have to get some off the webinar at the moment.
Regarding the cost breakdown, do we have to include tooling costs and the operation, the manufacturing operations costs?
No, it's really the bought out equipment, and so okay, you might have bought an autoclave or something, but I'm just have to assume that's part of the university's facilities. Really, I mean, it's if you're persuaded your university going to go and buy you some major manufacturing equipment, well done. But it's in that, and you know, arguably and maybe this is an improvement we have to do going forward. At the moment, is the aircraft and the ground control station is the bought out bits.
Does it include the raw materials? For example, we don't have to calculate the price of the carbon fiber that we use.
No materials. Yes, I mean it's. The whole point about it is we want you to design and build as much of this thing as possible, but we do accept today that, you know, autopilots and things like this, it's within the scope of time you've got. You're not going to design and build these things from scratch. So, you know, control, you know, your ground station, your laptops and things like that, I mean, you know, it's accepted you're just going to buy those. You know, the motors you're going to buy, the batteries you're going to buy, but we just want to make sure that you're seeing this more as a sort of business, and that you aren't just lashing out huge amounts of money and thing.
So again, the cost. This morning we talked about how developing an aircraft. Some companies have gone and got second-hand parts, and that's one good way of reducing your cost on your project as well. If it works and it's in good condition, you can use that. instead of going out and buying the most expensive fancy equipment that'll do pretty much the same job. Okay?
Right, well, just one more and then I think we'll have to get some off the webinar here.
I've just one for you from the
Just one. Okay.
So we're going back to the cost thing. So is like servo part of the, should we include that into the cost list? So anything that's electrically powered on the aircraft would be on the cost list?
Yeah, I mean, basically, is the component. Yeah, I mean, it's always a moot point. This, and to be honest, I mean, we're not going to go through in minute detail on this, but I mean, it's yeah. So servos, motors, batteries, autopilots.
Propellers?
Sorry.
Propellers?
Propellers, yeah. Well, if you bought propellers, yes, I guess most of you will have done rather than making your own. But I mean, it's just trying to get you to think about the cost of something, really. I mean, you know, we don't score you proportionally on what you've spent. I mean, it's just trying to get you to think through the sort of things that we do in designing and building aircraft, as it were. And I mean, we don't get you to talk about capital equipment and or labour costs or anything else, because we know that would be horrendously difficult to get a sensible comparison across everyone. I mean, maybe in years to come we'll think of a more complex way of assessing this.
Just to add as well, like when we're producing our products here, costs are considered all throughout it, but once the aircraft is delivered, we continue to try and drive in cost of our aircraft through looking at new innovative materials or manufacturing processes and try and make the production of the aircraft cheaper. So it does happen in the industry and it keeps on happening to try and improve the product year on and year on. Right, shall we take the webinar question?
Okay, I won't need the mic because I'm speaking right at the computer anyway. But it's from Hallam Air. They're asking how much attention would you like to be paid to the innovation aspects of the aircraft in the CDR, and would you like the innovation to be in its own separate section, or do you want it to just accompany the component that it's relevant to, so like wings, fuselage?
Right, so you've got that. The question is about innovation. Should it be in a separate section or should it be where it lies, as it were? And the answer is where it lies, please. We don't want a separate innovation section. We're not asked for that. I think we did last year or the year before, I think, but this year, I mean, you know, it's just making pointers to it, really. I mean, you know, we'll take our own view as to whether something is innovative or not. But I mean, you know, if you want to draw our attention to it, I don't know, you could even colour code it or something, you know, don't know how you do it, but it just might make sure that we don't miss it. And you know, at the end of the day, there is a prize for the most innovative design, and so, I mean, we're not giving you an innovation score on your CDR, but I mean, it will certainly be taken into consideration as we go through to the end of the competition, and you know, it gives you a good chance of getting the innovation prize, and you know, we'll be coming around. I mean, part of what we will be doing in Plan Better is looking at your A0 poster, which is another opportunity for pointing out innovation, and obviously looking at and talking to you, and so tell us about it then as well, you know. So, but you know, if you're trying to sell a product, you know, you want to shout about stuff that's different or about it. So, you know, it's just, that's all we're saying, really.
One more question, is it?
Yeah, it's about innovation. Okay. So if teams decide to go for the innovative route and sacrifice some kind of performance or the reliability of the aircraft, would that be still considered as innovative, or?
Okay, so trying to think of an example here now, but say if you added in a new high lift device into your wing to be innovative, for all the effort you're putting into it, does it actually benefit your system overall? Do you need that? We will give you points for innovation, but you still need to think about 300 points that are on offer for the demonstration event. How are you going to maximize your point total? So definitely try and innovative stuff. We won't give out to you for trying something new. This is what this competition is all about, and we will applaud innovation, but don't do it to the expense where your aircraft won't work on the day. Okay?
However, it is worth pointing out that you don't actually have to have successfully flown to win the innovation prize at the competition. It clearly would help if you did, but I mean, we have absolutely said that you've got to have been entirely successful, and in fact the winner of the innovation prize last year didn't actually manage to get in the air. It was maybe a slightly controversial choice, but judges, you know, our decision is final, and we're always right. So. Oh, we've still got 5 minutes, haven't we?
Yeah. All right. Going back to costs, you mentioned about buying second-hand components, but isn't COTS by definition off-the-shelf components? Okay. That shouldn't be the list price. And what about stuff that you get with an added discount?
Okay, sorry.
If you get something which has an added discount because you're studying or something like that.
Well, again, I mean, I think we can get a bit over the top on this cost thing. As I said, we're not giving you a score according to how much we spent. I mean, what we've said is as a guide, and people keep reading it as a rule. It's not a shall, it's not even a should. Well, it's a sort of very soft should. A sort of guidance of £1,000 for bought out is just, you know, an indication. I mean, one of the things you'll be doing at Lambada is doing your Dragon's Den presentation. We've not spoken at all about that. But again, the winner of that element will be somebody who's thought costs, thought performance, thought how they're going to sell this thing. And so I really wouldn't get, and where we are today, you will have decided what you're spending on the thing. So you're not, I mean, you're not going to save much money going forward, I guess, in any case, really. I mean, you should have done your design by now in any case. So I really wouldn't get over hung up on this cost thing. I mean, we might make some comments on your CDR if we think you're being, you know, spent an awful lot of money and whatever, or give you some, you know, say, great, you know, you've managed to do this quite cheaply. But really, I think there's more important things on this. I mean, I guess it's your design, it's your approach to safety, it's these sort of things that are really important. I won't diminish the cost element too much for that.
So back to the design description. On the structural, so you said describe the structure of the aircraft. Does it have to be backed by calculations of?
Well, we'll both have a go at that. I mean, I think what you need to be doing is calculations. I mean, again, think of us as the customer. What it's really supporting. If you've done something which either you know is to substantiate why you've chosen that design, as it were, is a calculation that justifies doing that, really, or gives you confidence that, you know, the wing's not going to snap off or whatever. It's I mean, we're not looking for 8 pages of equations really at all, but But clearly we do want, if you know, tell us or show us a calculation where you think it reinforces your decision or justifies your decision would be my answer.
So I think it's important to say why. Why are we designing a wing that is so long or so thick or whatever material? We're doing it because we want to produce enough lift to lift off a certain amount of weight. We're doing this because it's recyclable. And put your reasoning out there. So we don't need a big huge story or a paper. We want precise points, explain why you made the decision, see the logic behind your choice in design, to give us the idea of how you're thinking and how your aircraft is going to perform on the day. Is that okay?
I mean, we on one or two of the designs, we were, for instance, a little bit worried that you were trying to lift more than you really could with the, you know, the size propeller you had or something like that. So it's just that sort of calculation, as it were. I mean, we may point out, well, you've got the decimal point in the wrong place on your sum, which might be helpful to you, but you know, it's that sort of thing that I think we're after.
For some of our design justifications, we've obviously used computer software like FEA and CFD. Would you want us to demonstrate how we would have modelled it and to validate our model so that it actually would work? Or do you just want to say, we did FEA and it worked?
Again, I'm sure we'll both have a slightly different thing. I mean, we'd like to know how you did it. So if you use software rather than hand calculations, you know, be honest about it and why you thought that was satisfactory, or any validation that you did to substantiate that. I mean, I'd have to say in our judges' meeting on a number of the PDRs, there was the comment from the odd judge that says, well, they look as though they used some software, but it's not at all clear they understood what they were doing. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, software's there to be useful, but make sure, and again, the point that was made this morning, you know, was that there is a bit of concern now with all the supporting computing systems that there are, is that people are losing the ability to look at that and say, well, I think I've got the decimal point in the wrong place here, or I've fed the wrong information into this piece of software, because looking at that, it can't possibly be strong enough, powerful enough, or whatever, but that would be my answer.
So, I think one adage is really applicable for all this analysis in software. You put crap in, you get crap out. Right? So what we're looking for is the understanding. You're more than welcome to use any kind of tool you want to do to speed up the process of design. But you need to show us that you understand what you're putting in and what you're getting out is expected. And if it's not expected, then you need to tell us why that is and how you're going to correct it. So, as we're today using so many computers and speeding everything up, but we did use hand calcs before to design aircraft, and some of them are still flying today. So you don't necessarily have to invest so much time and energy in computers. If you understand the logic and are able to do the hand calc and show us clearly how it's being designed. Okay?
Right, I think we got.
So, just is there any more questions online as well?
No, there's no more. So I've just said if they think of anything later to contact Maggie or their mentors. So there's nothing else there.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to hand over the microphone to Alex and Christina to talk about the event logistics.
Hello everyone. Hi. So my name is Christina. I'm the projects executive for the UAS challenge, but as well I'm looking after other challenges that IBK is running. So I work for the Institution for Mechanical Engineers. So I'll try be short and to point. I'll run you through some logistics of the event. So I think I'll start from day 1, which is your arrival time, and that's 15th of June on Saturday. We'd expect you to arrive anytime after 11 a.m. What happens on the day is all the teams will arrive. You'll register. You'll pick up your high-vis jacket. You can set up your tent in the area. I will direct you. You'll go to the hangar. You'll leave your aircraft at your pit stop, and just make sure that you're ready and prepared for Sunday. So I assume the agenda is a draft one, so it will be confirmed that you will receive a welcome pack sometime in May with all the logistical information that you should be aware of, but this is something that it's basic and won't change a lot. So I think when we agree with Alex, we'll have a Teams briefing on this Saturday evening to make sure we're ready, and then you're off to walk in the town, find some fun, have a drink, meet other teams, please don't forget to have fun in the meantime. So Sunday, we'll start with scrutineering. It's all-day scrutineering, and we'll have some flight tests for the international teams. I'll email at some point all the international teams, and we'll probably schedule in some flights for them. And that's for the whole day. We started the day around 8 a.m. and we'll finish around 6 p.m. With a Teams briefing as well. So every day you'll have a Teams briefing to prepare for the next day, to know what's happening, what happened, is there any issues, what you need to do, and stuff like that. So then we come to the Monday, which is 18th of June. We'll start again at 8 a.m. The challenge activity begins. The fly-off begins, so you'll fly your aircraft on that day. There'll still be some sort of scrutineering during the day, but that's pretty much all. Previously we had the event in 2 days, and that was quite challenging to fit in all the teams. So this year we're trying to have a day just for scrutineering, right? And for Monday, we'll finish Monday with a social night evening. We've got some nice surprise for you that our volunteers is preparing for you to have some more fun, to engage with other teams, to engage with volunteers, so be prepared. We'll have drinks, alcoholic, non-alcoholic, it's on our iMiki, we've got dinner for you, and some activities and a show. And on Tuesday, 19th of June, same thing, we're starting at 8 a.m. Finish all the flights. For those who didn't have a chance to fly Monday, we'll fly Tuesday. And then the award ceremony is at 4 p.m. and we're aiming to finish at 5 p.m. followed by some photo opportunities with the teams, with the volunteers and so on. So that's when you can pack up and leave on Tuesday evening, if that's okay, or if not, you can stay overnight and you can leave on Wednesday morning. So that's absolutely up to you. You know that we are returning again to Snowdon Aerospace Center, which is in Labeda. I think that's for the 3rd year. It's a lovely site. It's massive. You're all welcome to camp on site. So that I have an idea, how many of you are planning to camp? Do you do? Just raise. So quite a few, yeah. Those on the webinar, just type in if you want. We'll send a survey around just to know exactly how many teams you're planning to camp on site. We'll have a catering van in the camping area and one next to the hangar. The map is approximately how it's going to look like. So you just come in, the reception is over here, and then you just drive to the camping area, you put up your tents, and that's where we'll have a catering unit here, and then a catering unit next to the hangar. What else? Let me have a look through my points. So that's pretty much all on the overall logistics. In the meantime, on Monday and on Tuesday, I just wanted to mention that we'll have a STEM outreach program. This year we're very happy to be sponsored by the Welsh Council, local Welsh Council, for the STEM outreach program. So we'll have on Monday and Tuesday a few groups of children aged 7 to 12 years old coming on site to view your aircraft. So we'll guide them through the pit stops. We'll stop at your team, and if you'll be so kind to speak to the kids and just tell them more about your aircraft, why you're doing this, how did you come to do this, you know, they're very interested to see what you do, and then they'll go to the flight line to watch some flights as well. Prior to the challenge, we also launching now a pre-competition. It's going to be an art competition for the kids, and like a design competition, an essay, a little essay they have to write, and we'll review all these submissions, and we'll have a little award ceremony on Monday and a little award ceremony on Tuesday evening for the children. So we're really excited about it, and the main focus on this is to inspire the next generation and get them interested in the STEM subject. So it will be really good if you engage with them as well. So I think I've covered most of it. I don't know if you have any questions so far. It's pretty easy, yeah?
Well, the weather in Wales is not always it's nice, and I speak out of experience. What happens if the 2 competition days are windy and stormy like the past 1.5 weeks?
I had a challenging weather last year, but we did pretty well. Yeah, we had to stop for a few hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Project manager.
So I'm Alex. I'm project manager for the challenge, and I run all the flight schedule during the 2 days activity. We did have some very severe weather last year, on and off. We will do our best to just try and fit as many flights into the spare gaps of the weather as we can. Sometimes it just works against us. Last year the weather was terrible. The year before the weather was perfect, and we had no stoppages in flying as a result of weather. I think we might have one maybe for about 5 minutes, but the rest of the time we were able to fly. So fingers crossed, all goes well. We have got some ideas for some other activities as well. So we've got potential for some indoor drone operations. Bombardier are going to provide us with some facilities and some netting so that we can get our flight safety officers to do some demonstrations indoors if there are weather limitations and things like that. But hopefully all goes according to plan and we get the great Welsh weather on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, from this point, I think you should be, if you're camping, please make sure you've got really quality tents, just in case, right? Last year we had a team from Pakistan, and I was heartbroken because their tent was lying just flat on the ground because of the wind. It was so windy, and their clothes were wet, and because their tent was not of a good quality. I think they didn't expect summer in England that way. And they came from like plus 14 to like 8 degrees. I don't know how much it was. It was really cold. So yes, be prepared for any weather conditions, but yeah, we can't control the weather.
I was the safety manager last year, and I was actually genuinely concerned for the Pakistani team's health throughout the event because of how bad it was and the issues with camping. So yeah, just please be as prepared as you possibly can for the worst weather possible. And if it gets that bad and we have a tornado or a typhoon coming in, we'll find some arrangements, we'll get you into hangar, we'll make sure that you're safe, but obviously just keep prepared for anything.
Yes, also you'll probably drive or fly over to Wales, but if in extreme cases, if you need to ship something over, if you want to post some of your camping equipment over to Bombardier, just let me know. I'll try to arrange that for you. Okay? Any other questions?
I'm just thinking there, for all the overseas teams, while you're transporting your aircraft over, you won't be able to transfer batteries or fuel or anything like that. So you should be thinking about sources over in England and Wales that you can get it and get it soon, so you can make sure you can test it with your system.
Yeah, and so to add to Stephen's point, this is one of the reasons why we've introduced the Sunday flying activities for the international teams. I think last year Istanbul were a bit more prepared, but the year before they had their batteries confiscated on their way into the country. It was a day before the flying event and they turned up at the event unable to fly their aircraft. Luckily, I think Loughborough lent them some batteries, so they were able to fly in the competition. But yeah, it is a serious consideration for the overseas teams. Really think about how you're going to get all of your system over in order to fly the competition.
Yeah, last year Istanbul actually sent their batteries to Heineken, so I received them and I just brought them to the competition. So you're free to do that if you need to do it. You know, I'm happy to help. Any other questions? Yes, 1 second.
You mentioned two catering vans. Will all meals be provided? How does that work?
So Amiki is paying for the social night dinner and drinks. The rest, the breakfast and the lunch, you buy it yourself on site. It's the prices will be good because we've negotiated them to be around £5, no more than that, you know, including your drink and food and some snacks, and it will be available all day. Evenings as well. In the town is really small. You've got 3 hotels there, so 3 restaurants and a very tiny food shop. So it will be available on site for catering if you want to go out, have a drink with your team. That's up to you. But please bring some cash with you just in case. They said they will be able to take card payments, which we've never done in the past. But I advise that you bring some cash with you just to be on the safe side.
Wi-Fi isn't particularly good in London.
Yeah, our team haven't decided we're going to camp or stay in a hotel yet, but if we do stay in a town, how close is the closest hotel?
That's another interesting point. So I think I've booked them all now, so you better book your hotel as soon as possible. So yeah, there are 3 hotels in Lambeda. As I said, it's really tiny, and I think the biggest one has 8 rooms available. So I booked all the hotels in the nearby towns as well, which is within 30 minutes away from the Lambeda Airspace Center. So yeah, book SAP, and yes, you will have to drive in the morning and in the evening back to the hotel. Yeah, it's 60 of us, 60 volunteers coming, so yeah, I think about 9 hotels. I've booked them off completely.
Just add a note, so we had some of our staff over last year, and of course all the local accommodation was booked. There is a town, Portmanogue, a bit north of Lambeda, and there's a travel lodge there. And again, if you go south to Barmouth, yes, there's more accommodation there. So it just means if you are booking further away, you'll make sure you need a car.
To be fair, Barmouth is probably less than a half an hour drive away as well. I think it's okay. That's where she's booked everything. There might be some availability potentially, and yeah, just have a look around Barmouth and where Steve suggested are good places. So.
Any more questions? Any more over there? No. Good. Thank you so much for your attention. Thanks.
Can I just, there was the question asked earlier, have we got the webinar back?
Yes.
About the scoring of the CDR. I mean, this is sort of unofficial, but just to give you a feel for it, because we don't sort of publish the thing, but I think around 40% of the marks will go to the design bit. You know, that's, you know, half of the whole write-up in any case, so not surprisingly. And 20% on manufacturing. And I think the other 2 sort of really important sections are the test plan, the qualification test plan and safety, and they will each get about 15% of the marks. Well, they're shorter sections, but quite important. So, but as you'll see, you know, that if you work it out, it means that the costs and support section will only get about 10% of the marks, which was why I was saying don't get too hung up on the cost section. It's don't ignore it, because it's useful learning, but don't get overexcited about it. Right, so we're on to the FRR now, and so this is going to be a double act again, or a treble act, or something. But I'll just go through the headlines. Now, what's an FRR for? You know, why are we doing it? And that is why you do a flight readiness review is exactly as the words say, that to make sure you're ready to fly, and it's safe to fly, and it's likely to do what you require it to do and be safe. And so, in the past, in this competition, we have struggled getting through the flying simply because people were coming with very unprepared aircraft, and the flight safety officer required you to do a little test flight before you then did the actual mission. And that consumed not only a lot of time, but an awful lot of teams lost their aircraft on the test flight and therefore never got to doing the mission flight because they crashed on them. Certainly the first year that happened to every single team. Now, we've got a lot better than that, but we wanted, particularly as there are now 32 teams this year, and we're still trying to do this in 2 days, is one of the reasons why we've gone to a single mission rather than multiple missions, but a longer mission. And also, we're removing the test flight immediately prior to you doing the mission. In one respect, that reduces your risk in that you're only having to fly once instead of multiple times. And bearing in mind, these are quite innovative and clearly, this is the first, is one wouldn't expect you to build a professionally built thing that's going to be guaranteed to be successful. But we've only got to the point of being able to remove this little test flight by asking you to do that yourselves before you come to Clambeddor. And so that's the point of this video, is showing us that this thing will do exactly what it says on the tin. You will be able to do an autonomous takeoff. For those of you who've got hybrid aircraft, to transition from vertical to forward flight, do some navigation. We're not asking you to do exactly the whole mission for Clambeddor, but you can get in the air, you can move around, not just go in a straight line, and either physically demonstrate dropping your package, or if, because of where you're having to fly or whatever, that's not safe and satisfactory, that you're showing us that you've done some ground testing of the dropping mechanism so that it's going to drop when you ask it to drop, and not at other times, and then to come down and do a landing. So this video is really important. It must be a video of the aircraft you're bringing to the competition. And you must explain exactly what this is doing. Now we're going to show you in a moment, one of the teams last year did a really very good video, and this gives you an idea of the standard. We say 10 minutes, and last year we set a maximum of 10 minutes, but I think you need to think of a 10-minute video, really. We don't want it longer than 10 minutes, but use this 10-minute widely to persuade us that your aircraft really is ready to go, is going to be safe, and that we can quite happily let you to go out on the flight line, get briefed by the flight safety officer, and press the go button. And there's a very good chance that you're going to get round the the course, and you're not going to have the flight safety officer terminate your flight part of the way around. Okay, so that's really important. Now the other things we want is, if you've made any changes, significant changes since the CDR, you need to tell us about those, because because we're going to have to look at what they are. So you're going to have to tell us you've made a change and exactly what that change are, so that again we can make sure that that is satisfactory. Clearly in the CDR, just like in the PDR, there's a box at the bottom of corrective actions. Now we hope you won't have any corrective actions, but if there are any corrective actions, you must address this in your FRR. You must say exactly what you've done about it and why it no longer needs to be corrected, that you've met the requirement. Ignore the next bit, because we've removed the need for pilot qualification, so forget that next line. The signed declaration by a chartered engineer, or the equivalent. In the UK, it's recognisable you need a chartered engineer to sign. For overseas team, it's whatever a reasonable equivalent of a thoroughly professional engineer who understands what it is that they're signing off. Now it makes clear in the rules exactly what they're signing for, and so please, and it's not just, we don't just want to scroll the signature. We want that person to write that they have looked at all of the things that are written in Annex D of the rules, that I have looked at this vehicle, and to the best of my knowledge, it will satisfy the, I think it's 5 or 6 points that are written in Annex D, and then sign it. And then the other thing you've got is the Form 701 that you have been sent, no not yet, will be sent. But we get a thing called the Form 701. This is, again, replicates the process that happens in industry. It's a formal declaration process, and there are a series of forms, and Alex will explain that in a moment. But this first form has to be delivered at the FRR, which again just ticks off the things that you must have done at that stage. Like you've delivered the video, like you've delivered the signed CEng form and things like that. And so that builds up to a set of paperwork that eventually will go with your aircraft to the flight line. And the flight safety officer will look at all of these forms, see that they've all been properly signed off by the scrutineers and everyone else that's appropriate. And so that then is your certificate to go and fly. So that's what we're expecting to see at the FRR. We'll just show you this video, and then Alex will expand on 1 or 2 other things. See, they even put music to calm us.
Welcome to the Team Headers 2018 Flight Readiness Review. In the following next 10 minutes, we will introduce our unmanned aircraft system named Tulpar.
They also a commentary as to
Team
what they were
Header
doing.
consists of Tier 1 engineering students from various disciplines such as aeronautics and astronautics, electronics and communication, and mechanical engineering. 15 new members joined the team this year. In 2017, Tulpar was designed from scratch, and this year, detailed optimizations in the design are done. Tulpar can carry payloads up to 2 kilograms, while the maximum takeoff weight is kept in the limit of 6.9 kilograms. Tulpar is capable of autonomous flight up to 15 minutes with an operational range of more than 10 kilometers. In order to reduce the weight of the tail, new tail without horizontal tap is designed while providing a stable flight in 3 directions. Fuselage size is optimized according to the required volume by the interior systems, and narrowed fuselage provides less drag and weight. Nose design is enhanced to a smaller cross-section area to have fewer drag thanks to smaller sized camera selection. Flaps are used to keep the takeoff and landing distance less than 25 meters, and also touchdown speed of the aircraft is decreased. Toolbar consists of 5 main components: wing set, inverted V-tail, tail connection booms, fuselage, and fuselage hatch. The design had to be detachable as far as transportation to competition field and test flight airfield is concerned, and also it is beneficial in terms of maintenance of the UAS. Toolbar subsystems are introduced in 3 sections. First one is the flight control system. PDR autopilot module handles the autonomous operation and is programmed and tuned by Team Header. It receives ground control commands via the RFD telemetry link. In addition to onboard sensors in PDR, airspeed sensor, GPS, and LiDAR are used. The autonomous operation is managed at the ground control station with mission planner and also a custom graphic user interface developed by Team Header. The manual control of the UAS can be done using the 2.4 GHz radio receiver. Second subsystem is the payload release system. Payload releasing mechanism consists of 2 servos and each payload unit is secured with a metal rod. Payloads are inserted in a package consists of dampening material to ensure that they are delivered to the location without any leakage. The final one is the imagery system. The imagery system is positioned in the nose section for a maximum point of view for the reconnaissance mission. Instead of last year's Sony a6000 camera, a new USB 3.0 high-resolution camera that is developed by the imaging source is selected due to its reduced size and weight, while providing high-resolution images from a flight altitude of 75 meters. A custom-designed gimbal is used to stabilize the camera in 2 axes with brushless DC motors. Onboard computer is responsible for onboard image processing, which provides short reporting time to the ground station. Bullet M5 connects the UAS to the ground station via a Wi-Fi link at 5 GHz. Toolbar can operate payload delivery and reconnaissance missions autonomously with the following confidence levels. Autonomous takeoff, high confidence. Autonomous landing, medium confidence. Autonomous waypoint navigation, high confidence. Payload delivery, high confidence. Reconnaissance, high confidence. Geolocation, medium confidence. Numerical analysis and physical tests were executed to make sure that wings are reliable in flight. Finite element analysis was executed with the loads obtained from vortex lattice method, and wing load test was executed to simulate the forces on the wings during flight and maneuvering. Payloads were placed on the wings according to the distribution obtained from vortex lattice with a maximum load of 4G. We carried out wing flow tests in order to check the accuracy of the lift calculations in XFLR5. The yarns were arranged to be parallel to the direction of the flow on the wing. At a 25-degree angle of attack, we have seen that the UAS entered the stall state. The propulsion system is chosen to be brushless DC motor with 6S lithium polymer batteries. Sunny's X3525 motor is selected and its static thrust test is conducted on ground. The motor has sufficient and efficient performance with 13 to 6 propeller that provides 0.6 thrust to weight ratio. To ensure that Toolbar has consistent ground control station link in a safe range, we conducted a range test where the UAS is flown 1 km distance. The signal rate is lowered to 73% without any disconnection issue. Takeoff speed of Toolbar was set to 14 meters per second, which is 1.3 times of stall speed to provide safe maneuver. Takeoff distance is kept less than 15 meters due to high thrust to weight ratio. Since the landing maneuver is risky, in addition to onboard parameter sensor PDR 2.1, LiDAR is used to increase redundancy and accuracy of altitude determination. Autopilot software is used for the autonomous operations. Firstly, the PID parameters are tuned on the ground by investigating the test flight log data, then the detailed tuning and verification is done via telemetry data during the flight. After these tuning and validation, Team Hedef is confident to have more than 90% of waypoint accuracy, and the missions are planned using custom interface developed based on mission requirements. We performed image process mission under different light conditions with various letters to evaluate the performance of the image processing algorithm. Identification of several alphanumerics were problematic, so the algorithm is improved after test flights, and also the sunlight effects are eliminated by adaptive ISO gain, exposure, and brightness settings via OBC during flight. After all these improvements, all of the alphanumerics are read with a rate of 70% accuracy, and the geolocation error is minimized down to 8 meters. The release mechanism mounted in the toolbar and tested during test flights. We checked the flight logs for release triggering time and improved the linearized ballistic algorithm determined analytically by comparing the desired and actual payload drop locations. The team managed to deliver the payload with less than 5 meters error. Also, we have seen that our coverages for the floor packages can absorb the impact shock even on the asphalt concrete surface. Is the most prior issue for the team, and we paid attention to apply safety procedures in each step of the design, production, and test processes. Yusuf Demirol has been the safety pilot of Team EDF since the foundation of the team in 2014. He has the required equivalence of BMFA A qualification, and his BMFA membership covers the required insurance for the competition. Including previous US flights, he has been the safety pilot of the UAS for more than 80 flights successfully. Team uses an ultrabook with sunlight readable screen for the ground control station that is equipped with RAT telemetry link during the test flights. The UAS is equipped with multiple redundancies of communication channels with the ground control station in order to guarantee uninterrupted monitoring and data relay. All of the radio communication devices are ensured to be in compliance with respective UK regulations. RF radio telemetry modems are backed up with the 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi link, and the flight termination sequence is programmed to initiate if both of the channels fail. A detected loss of RC transmitter signal will trigger the termination of the flight. For the flight safety, the automatic flight termination system will kick in the event of a possible power loss, geofence breach, avionics malfunction, or any disruption of the communication systems. The automatic flight termination is done by moving the control surfaces to preset positions in order to achieve a passive active gliding maneuver. Barometer, IMU, or GPS failures trigger the flight termination system for passive gliding maneuver. If a visual assessment through the ground indicates a malfunction in the operation, the safety pilot can take the control of the UAS to trigger flight termination. The manual flight termination sequence is the active gliding with IMU instruments. A battle box transmitter is set and is ready for the competition safety pilot. Before every flight, the team follows the safety checklist procedure carefully, and the comments about the flight is recorded in the test flight logbook. The team conducted more than 30 test flights with toolbar. During the flight tests, crew members are trained for operational excellence at the field, autonomous operations are tested, and the reliability of the system is examined in the air. As a result, the team is confident that all the systems are well integrated and working well, and aims to be in the top 3 in the UAS Challenge 2018.
Right, we thought it worth showing you that. Now, clearly that team had somebody who was pretty adept at doing videos, but I think, you know, we're not expecting high quality videos from everyone, but it just gives you a feel. I mean, the important messages to take home is that they used the whole 10 minutes. They were the only team last year that got anywhere close to giving us to the 10 minutes. But as you saw, they used it effectively, and they showed each of the stages of flight that we wanted to see. They showed us that they'd done some testing on their way to flying, and you know, they addressed things like the flight termination system. So, on one hand, we're sort of discouraging you because it's quite hard to produce something as well put together as that, really, particularly if you haven't got anyone in the team who's, I wouldn't know where to start to produce a video like that. But at least, that's the sort of thing that it's good to see in some form or another. So don't feel it has to be as professional as that, but just think about the sort of thing. It gives an example of the sort of things we want to see, to give us confidence, and clearly that one, when we saw it, we said, well, they can go straight to the flight line, there's an extremely good chance this thing's going to be successful. All right, Alex. And
just to reinforce Lambert's points there, Team HEF were the winners last year. As Lambert said, as soon as they arrived at the airfield, not only had the flight safety officer seen this video, so he was already confident in the aircraft, already felt like he could take that aircraft out of flight from the get-go. It also meant that the scrutineering, the other processes that we have to follow at the challenge to make sure that it's safe, there was that knowledge already there with the officials to make sure that we could get them through as quickly as possible. So a good video will really help you at the event. So Lambert talked about the 701 form. There's a full suite of forms that you'll get given when you get to the challenge. Christina, I believe we've got some folders like a normal aircraft document set you'll receive that on a civil or a military aircraft. The 701, as Lambert said, is your declaration that you've met all the shall requirements for the challenge in order to get you flying at the event. There's also a 702, a 703, and you guessed it, 705 document. I don't know why they missed the ball, but that's up to the scrutineer to explain. Your 702 is basically a secondary check by the scrutineers to make sure that what you've declared on your 701 document is actually what you've produced at the event. We take the 701 as a declaration of you and your CEng stating yes, you are compliant with the challenge's requirements. That then has to go through a second check where we have a team of scrutineers at the event who inspect the airworthiness of your system, make sure that all of your connections are suitable and that you've got suitable wiring, there's no chafing, making sure that you're using appropriate locking nuts and fixings for any of your safety critical structures, things like that. So it's basically a check to make sure that when you go out and you fly, you're in the best position to complete the mission, and also that it's going to be safe. The 703 document, sorry I'm making these up as I go through because I'm not a scrutineer, is the Flight Safety Officer checklist. So this is again a follow-up check by the Flight Safety Officer, primarily that all of the other paperwork is complete, that you've had all of your CEng sign off, you've had the scrutineers sign you off, and then he goes through a set of checks on the flight line when you arrive, ready to fly your mission, to make sure that your aircraft is fit to fly and that he's comfortable for the mission to go ahead. There are also, as Lambert said, the pilot checks have now been removed, but before you go to the flight line, there is a functional check as well, where the scrutineers will check that your flight termination system operates correctly. And to clarify, the FRR video doesn't have to show your flight termination system in flight. Just as long as you show us that it operates in accordance with the rules on the ground, then that's sufficient for us to know that the flight termination system will do as it says on the day, should it be needed. And then the final form, which is your F705, is your aircraft release to flight certificate. So this is your final document that basically confirms that every single requirement has been met. So the flight safety officer is happy that the aircraft is fit to fly, the scrutineers are happy that the aircraft is built and airworthy to go and fly, and also that you've had the backing of your chartered engineer and you've got the appropriate insurance in place to fly in the competition. Let me just check and see if there's anything else that needs to be covered. One thing to note, in the rules it did mention about a flight readiness review interview, which we did conduct last year to basically, one, allow us to ask questions of the teams if there are any areas or gaps in the flight readiness review documentation that we needed to clarify, and also for the teams to ask us any questions to prepare for the event. We're not going to be holding interviews this year because it was quite a long day. We had two teams of judges and scrutineers in 2 rooms up at the IMECE for the whole day, fitting these interviews in, and obviously it's quite a lot of time for the teams as well to take out, especially that close to your exam periods and everything else. So this year we will be doing some feedback, I believe, from the FRRs, and we will take questions from teams as well via email so that we can answer those prior to you getting to the event, but we won't be having the face-to-face WebEx interviews this year. The 701, it's worthwhile when you get your chartered engineer who signs off your aircraft before coming to the event, give them the documents that are available on the web, on the Google Drive, because when you get to the event, it's a very thorough checklist that we have to go through to make sure that everything is compliant. If you've got a qualified engineer to run through that checklist on your aircraft before you arrive at the event, even though it's not specifically required for your CENGA sign-off, it just guarantees that you're in a better position to advise the scrutineers if there are any areas that they want to pay particular attention to, so you can be prepared to build the confidence with them that you're safe and fit to fly. But also, it builds the confidence in you, and it makes sure that you understand if there are any specificities of your design that you might need to focus on and you might need to potentially work on and correct before you get to the event. I think that's it for me. There's going to be more on the running of the events and the day-to-day activities from Amy and Hugh, so I'll leave that for them. Is there anything for you, Steve? Questions?
I was just wondering if the slides, can we get them afterwards?
The slides for this?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and I'll check with Rob Williams as well, because there's a presentation that he gave me regarding the scrutineering process, and I think we can make that available as well, and also all the forms will be made available on Google Drive. Any more questions? Any on the webinar?
No, I've asked them, so I'm not seeing any so far.
Okay, so yeah, so it's the overview of the demonstration event. So I'm going to hand you over to Amy and Hugh to take you through this portion of the webinar.
I'm Hugh, I'm the safety manager for the event.
Sorry, is it possible?
When you get to the event, there's going to be a safety brief, and part of the document set for the aircraft, you'll have to get a signature that says you've done the safety brief before you can fly. Basically, it's going to be operated like as if you're in the aviation industry, so safe practices of work, things like which is foreign object debris, making sure when you make sure you don't drop objects and leave them on the floor. It is the hangar, as you can see on there, is used by aircraft. It is within on an air site. So if you look, yeah. Well, if you look on the far right, the red line, the yellow circle around it, that's basically the air side to the runway. When you go through that gate, you are with your vehicles. When you bring stuff into the hangar, you will have to do FOD checks with the vehicles. We can show you how to do a FOD check. It's effectively just run your hands over the tyres to make sure there's no stones or anything being picked up. You're not dragging it onto the path going onto the runway because aircraft do go on it. You can, as I said, you can bring your vehicles in, so you can bring all your equipment into the hangar, but don't park your vehicle outside the hangar. Only officials will be parked outside there, because we need to try and keep it as clear as possible to allow access in and out of the hangar, because there will be a paramedic inside the hangar. If something does happen, hopefully you should be safe. You can get an ambulance in and out. So when you're at the event, please make sure you bring any necessary PPE that you require. So if you haven't cut stuff, make sure you've got safety goggles, dust masks. With hazardous materials, so composites, we had problems last year with people cutting composites. There is going to be a hazardous materials area where you can cut composites. It'll generally away from everyone else, so the dust isn't blowing into people's faces. The other one, teams with batteries. There's going to be a charging area where we allow the charge of your batteries for light bulbs and stuff like that. You need to make sure you have charging bags, so that fireproof bags to charge them within. And when you're charging your batteries, you will have to stay with your batteries just in case lithium-ion batteries like to spontaneously combust. If you do find your batteries aren't being charged with no one in there, we will take to the scrutineers area, and part of the scoring, there is points for safety, and there'll be marks against you basically for being unsafe. Generally, when you're working, use common, I say use common sense, but that never works. You'd be amazed what some people do. So things that you do want to consider, mainly because I've seen it before in other events, bring things like clamps or vices to cut stuff with, because people turn up, something breaks on the aircraft, they try and fix it, and then you see them trying to hold it on the leg, trying to cut into the leg. Also mentioning batteries, so teaming with internal combustion engines or gas turbines, fuels for that. There will be area within the hangar to store the fuel, so it's safe. Plus, make sure you've got suitable containers to store the fuel in, and teams from abroad, I think, be able to order it in and get it delivered to the event. When you handle the refill, there is an area as you come onto it. That's our modified airside line number there. You will be able to refill just outside that. It's fact you don't want to be refilling in the hangar because of the fumes and people cutting could lead to fire. Anything else? Be safe, basically. Like I say, you could get caught out if being unsafe. It will be marked against you at the event, so it is in your interest to be safe at the event, and there will be people walking around, making sure past the scrutineers when they walk around and change to make sure everything's safe.
Hello, my name's Amy. I am the Access Control Supervisor. So, mainly during the event, I will be living just here. So, what my job is to control access to what from this side onwards is classed as the active airfield. At any one time, 4 team members are allowed past the access point gate. You will all be given a green wristband, denoting that you are allowed to be on that side. When you return from flying, those green wristbands need to be handed back. When you're selecting the 4 people to go out onto the flight line, just be mindful of what you're actually going to be doing out there. So make sure you've got the knowledge base that you need. So, for example, you're going to be doing functional tests before you go out onto the flight line, and then obviously if anything goes wrong during that, you will need somebody with the knowledge to actually fix it there and then, to save you having to go back into the hangar and potentially missing your flying slot. Before you go out onto the flight line, I will need to make sure that you've got all of your documents with you in your folder and that they are all signed. Previous years, there has been the odd occasion where they've got out to the flight line and they haven't got all their documents. A bit of a waste of time having to come back, get all the documents, and again, you might lose your flight stop. During the functional test, a couple of things, this is not exhaustive. Make sure you've got your buddy box. It's a good start. No buddy boxes?
Don't need them this year because no pilots.
Happy days. You'll be going through several different procedures, making sure your flight controls are working, making sure that your emergency cut-off works. Okay. So after that, you will travel over to the flight line. Hopefully we'll be getting open back Hiluxes again, so we can all fit you all in. You can put your aircraft in the back and hold on to it. Again, no documents, no flying. When you're out on the flight line, the flight safety officer is the boss. What he says goes. If he sees that you're not listening to what he's saying or you're messing around, he will just send you back. Quite simple. And then the scrutineers will get told, you're going to leave marks again. So, as Hugh mentioned, before you do your functionals, if you need to refuel, the refuel component will be on this hard standing just here. The ground testing is roughly around about there. It'll be pretty obvious and marked off with tape. Do not refuel anywhere else other than there. And to be honest with you, that's pretty much it. Safety is everything.
Sorry, just a few helpful tips as well from teams in last year. The weather can be quite difficult over there. It can be overcast, so it can be hard to see your UAS when it's in flight. And I'm sure I've mentioned somewhere in the guidance as well that you should paint your aircraft brightly so we can see it. Another good option is putting LEDs on it. They don't draw a lot of power. Or if the FDS is activated and the aircraft is in the grass somewhere, you can have a buzzer so we'll be able to locate it pretty quickly. Just simple things like that go a long, long way to ensure that your aircraft is safe and we're able to fly it correctly. So the next thing I suppose, is there any questions for the guys here?
A couple of quick extra points as well. Sorry, could you skip back to the image? So, just to clarify, which one's the... no. This is the hangar that we'll be operating from at the event. This hangar is off limits. No access to that hangar. There are actually people's private aircraft in that hangar. So if there's anybody who goes into that hangar, even if the door's left open, there's potential for you to take FOD in there. There's potential for a safety issue if any of the aircraft are impacted or anything like that. So please, this hangar only, not that one. You will be directed at the event, but just to make sure, because last year there was nearly an incident where somebody entered that hangar. Luckily I caught them and stopped them. The other thing that I was going to say, no, not smoking point, although that is important. Smoking area is there. Well, that's the plan. So, to reinforce Amy's point about the flight safety officer, she said, what he says goes. There's no back chat, there's no arguing. There will be a briefing from Chris, our flight safety officer, but at the end of the day, his job there for the entire event is to keep all of you safe, and all of the competitors, all of the spectators, everybody who's there. If he says, I'm activating the flight termination system, there's no ifs, there's no buts. There will be a safety pilot that in the event that the aircraft seems to be recoverable in a safe manner to the takeoff point, which is somewhere around down here on the runway, they will do that. And he's a very qualified safety pilot. He's a very good operator. I've seen him operating, and he's quite spectacular. But at the end of the day, safety is paramount. We need to make sure that everybody leaves intact and alive. So, yeah, please, when you get out, and well, any of the officials, we're there to help you, but at the end of the day, we're there to make sure that the event is successful and that everybody's safe. So please just, if you're asked to do something, respect it, and we will help you as much as we can.
Just another note as well, if for any reason your aircraft does crash, obviously the first instinct is to run and find it. Don't. Wait until either people come out to help search or the flight safety officer gives you permission to go and have a look for it. But obviously we've got a tight schedule to run, there's a lot of teams this year, and we don't really want to spend hours upon hours searching for an aircraft. And the grass is incredibly long, and my hay fever will kind of be bad again, as it has been in previous years. So yeah, first instinct is to go and find it. Please wait. Is there any questions?
Thanks guys, so we're moving on to the next part of this webinar, which is about the award and STEM. So call back up Lambert to help me through this.
And Alex?
Christina just pointed out to me, we haven't talked about GPS coordinates. Although someone did ask a question in the breaks, is that you will be given, but not until today, the route will be determined immediately prior to the event, the waypoints and all, and the place where you need to drop your aid package, etc. And you will be given the coordinates of that on the Sunday?
Yes, yeah. I think what we're going to do is we'll just send them all of the the teams will get the coordinates on the Sunday morning before we start scrutineering, because so one thing that we did pick up on last year was that the geofence coordinates that you're required to plan in for your flight termination system, we need to make sure that we check those during the scrutineering process to make sure that if your aircraft does start to fly out to the airfield boundary, it will activate the flight termination system as planned. So we'll give you the coordinates on Sunday morning. Please make sure that you have them planned into your ground control station and your telemetry for your scrutineering slot, which you'll also be informed about on Saturday evening during the briefing. Potentially time dependent, we might give you the coordinates on Saturday just to give you a bit of time on Saturday evening to plan them in.
Right, is that clear? Excellent. So we're on to awards then. Well, as you will have seen in section 6 of the rules, that there are a whole series of awards. Oh, yes, well done, Steve, yes. The side of them, right. So, I mean, the principal award is the Grand Champion, and that clearly is made up of the 500 points that are available from PDR, CDR, the A0 poster, and the 300 points available from flying the mission. And again, in the rules, it explains how you gain the points in the mission. So you might want to consider that, and one hopes you'd be considering that all along in your design of trade-off between how much you're going to carry, the available power from your batteries, etc. So, and it is a challenging mission. I did mention earlier, there is this requirement for touch and go, and certainly as far as the judges are concerned, we're a bit nervous about this part of the flight. I mean, this could happen at any stage during the flight, but I think we will be trying to persuade the organisers to make that part towards the end of the flight, because I think the chances of you not pulling that off are rather higher than the rest of the mission. But we hope to be very pleasantly surprised by this, but I'm not offering to design it, but yes. Yeah, I mean, we have said a number of you have got launch mechanisms which don't actually end up with undercarriages. I think for next year you might read the rules a bit more closely, really, and we've decided not to penalise people who have gone for different launch mechanisms this year and therefore gone without an undercarriage, although I think if I'd been reading the rules, I'd have interpreted them as requiring an undercarriage to do it. But a touch and go, and again, I guess there are probably all sorts of definitions of a touch and go, but what all we're saying you need to do, and even those with undercarriages, you don't have to get all the wheels on the ground to have made a touch, as it were. And so, as long as a wheel or an appendage from the vehicle touches the ground before it pulls up again, that is counting as a touch and go. I think it's alerted us to the fact that we maybe need to be a little bit tighter with our rules in future. Don't read into this that we'll have a touch and go next year, because we may well change the rules completely for next year. But you know, it's an interesting thing about you know, as you heard earlier this morning about the customer client relationship. You know, is that I'm surprised some of you didn't ask the question about this earlier on, really, because that was clearly one of the more challenging parts of the route. So that's the Grand Champion. There is a second and a third place, and also, I guess it's on the next page, there is one for the highest placed new entrant as well. So the university who hasn't been in the competition before, the highest score in one of those will get a I mean, I guess in part of that, the 4 awards for having done the whole cycle of all the paperwork and successfully flying. So if we go back up to the previous page, please. So then we talked about earlier is this innovation thing, prize. So we've defined it now as taken through to flight demonstration. It doesn't mean to say that you have to have been successful in that flight demonstration, but I guess as long as you've taken off, that probably counts well enough for being eligible for the innovation prize. It's not to say that someone who does it really successfully can't win the innovation prize, because arguably that may be what you need to do to win it. The design prize, again, is so that there are awards for people who don't manage to score the highest scoring around there. Is that we are interested in the way you approach design. So again, we'll be looking at the concept paper, the PDR, the CDR, the vehicle you bring along, and awarding our own, the judge's discretion on a vehicle that we think has really done a good job on design. Then if we could go to the next one, please. So then the scrutineers have their own prize for somebody who's presented their vehicle well, as it were, and has not given them some level of anxiety. Safety, as we've gone on and on about today, is, we do want to award for safety. So, and again, that's a holistic award. It's not just about airworthiness, although clearly it is about airworthiness, but it's about the whole approach to safety through all stages of the competition. And then finally, there's the business proposition. You are required to do a short presentation in a sort of Dragon's Den type of way. If those from overseas team not familiar with the Dragon's Den process, I'm sure if you Google it, it'll explain it. But and so you're doing a pitch, and it's mainly to the sponsors of the events. The companies that are sponsored will be judging this short pitch. I think it's only 5 minutes you're required to do it, it's what it says in the rules, and then they will ask you various questions. But it's what it says here is that you've understood the market that you're aiming for, and that yours is going to be the most competitive design to meet that customer requirement. And clearly, this is where cost, you may want to say why you're being, it's affordable for the task that you come up with. Oh, sorry, yeah, we've still got some more. See, lots of prizes. There's one for everyone. I'll mention the top two. So finally is the media and engagement team. The media people will be awarding a prize for your level of media engagement. And we ask you to certainly show that off at the Dragon's Den event. But people will be wandering around talking to you. I mean, it's your opportunity to fly your flag. You've got your A0 poster. You bring along any other posters, T-shirts, whatever you want to do. Just impress us with what you're doing. It's all up for grabs.
That'll be open to the schools and standards.
Yes. So do you want to say something about STEM?
From the STEM aspect, we will have two groups of schools there, both on the Monday and the Tuesday. I believe on the first day it's primary school, second day it's secondary school, or possibly the other way around. There will be a host of activities that we're putting on for them that are appropriate for the age, engineering and science-based. But certainly when the school children come around, they will get a tour of the hangar. You will have an opportunity to showcase your system that you've developed and the processes that you followed and all the interesting stuff that you've been doing throughout the year. And we really do promote that. I know Pakistan NUST were very, very thorough with the kids, and they gave them a really good, essentially a full aerodynamics lecture, I think, but tailored appropriately for secondary school children. But yeah, obviously be mindful though when the school children are around, please watch your language. Although a lot of them are native speakers and don't have a huge amount of English, we just want to make sure that they enjoy themselves and that it's appropriate. And also be mindful when you are maintaining your aircraft as well, that there's nobody around that could cause a hazard. I'll go back to safety. But yeah, other than that, obviously engage with everybody there and showcase all the great work that you've been doing throughout the year.
So don't forget, you've got to learn Welsh before you go there, and because you'll need to answer questions from these kids. Yes.
Yeah, so that's most of it from the awards and STEM. Does anybody have any questions for us over here about any of the awards?
We have an opportunity to show banners and have a design event like from a student where the jury can and we show our design decisions, and if you will have, so how we pay for it.
Yes, so that's the purpose of the ANOC poster. So judges will be walking you around and observing you throughout the competition. They'll stop to talk to you, ask you to explain your aircraft system, and they'll also be observing how safe you are when you're putting your UAS together on the table as well. So we will be walking among you and hopefully get chatting.
How much time do you have to do this poster presentation?
So it'll be ad hoc, so whenever a judge comes over to you, take the time. It might only be 5 minutes, might be 10 minutes. It's totally up to you. It's an informal kind of chat, and all we're trying to do is try and get you to bring out all of your design qualities. Yeah.
Should we bring extra documentation like design reports or dossiers with technical information?
No, so all the technical information and everything should be within your CDR reports, PDR reports. This is a general chat where you can, it should be pitched for the STEM engagement level. So it should be very clear, very simple about what you're doing here. And we're not going to dig into your sums and make sure that you've got the right decimal point or anything like that. It's just an overview of your system and a chance for you to present and have an experience of talking about your system to other people. Is that okay?
Yeah. To clarify that, so when you arrive at the event, your PDR has already been marked, your CDR has already been marked. They won't be remarked if you bring more evidence to the event and start to show us more information about how you've designed the aircraft. So yeah, keep it simple but informative.
But I would just say is that there are only sort of 12 of us judges. We've got an awful lot to do because at any one time we always need 4 judges on the flight line, because to score what's in there, we have to be watching a whole load of different things at once. And so I can't see one can do it without 4. So that only leaves 8 of us to wander around, but also we've got a lot of paid work to do in the background and all the rest of it. And so, I mean, be proactive. I mean, if you want to tell us something, we all have the right, I forget what colour things we've, green things, just grab one of us and drag us and show us what you're doing, because, you know, we'd probably be fairly busy, but, you know, we're there to help and to try and give points. But yes, I'm in the belief, you know, the new high visibility will be ones without high visibility jackets because everyone else wears. And so the people that stand out will be the ones without wearing high visibility jackets. Sorry, Christine.
Just a very small point on the posters. In the hangar we've got one, so the gates are open and it's quite windy. And last year some teams brought their posters and they would fly away all the time. So make sure it's on a hard paper or we'll have some stands for you where you can put them on and they can fly off them. So make sure they're solid, good. Maybe bring something where you can want to attach them to so the judges can clearly see it, you know. Yeah, just be mindful of the wind. It's a strong wind in between. So.
And just to point out as well, like it is ad hoc. So if you're getting prepared to go to the flight line, that is completely fine to say, bugger off. We'll come back later on in the day and check it again because we know it's hectic ourselves. You know, from a judge's point of view, from scrutineering, from students yourself. But if you do have free time, as Lambert said, be proactive. If you see a judge walking around, say, would you like to see my poster? Would you like to see my design? And we'll have it at the right time for you. Okay?
Are we allowed to invite our own sponsors to the event?
Good question.
Yeah, the event is closed for spectators, so we wouldn't allow that. Usually we've got sponsors, our sponsors who attend. Yeah, that would be, if they really, who are your sponsors?
Local ones, obviously.
Okay. If you drop me an email, I'll see if I can do anything for them for at least they can drop in for half a day or something to see you guys. But usually that's not permitted. Okay, just drop me an email and I'll have a think about it. No questions?
Yeah. So if you email Christina about it, we'll provide a formal response. But I think what the rules state is that you're allowed up to 10 team members and then up to 3 additional academic support staff or other support staff. So I think reasonably, if you're not bringing 3 academic support staff, you could bring 3 other sponsors, providing we know who they are and we have the information of us, and that they are not permitted to advertise or anything like that, because we do have paying sponsors at the event who are there and have the right to showcase their businesses. So they do have to have, you do have to have an academic supervisor. So one of the 3 has to be an academic supervisor, but the other 2 could be either academic support or other support. Okay, and every extra team member has an extra charge associated with it. Okay, is that all of it? Yeah? Okay.
We need to bring our school advisor to the event. Because it's going to be difficult to drag him to the event.
Somebody that's, sorry, you need to bring somebody that has been with you through this whole process, which is usually your academic lead, so he knows what you have done, and so he can be responsible for you on site. I think it's mentioned in the rules that is a requirement. You need somebody there to do that. I don't know whether there's an opportunity that the person who signs, it's usually the person who signs off on your forms will be the academic lead, but if you have a chartered engineer that is signing off that, that's the person that you need to bring, because that's the person who's stating that they're happy with your design and project. So he needs to be there to be responsible for that. Okay?
Email us about it if this is going to be a real issue for you, because obviously we don't want to penalise you and say don't come to the event if you can't bring one with you. But we need to figure out who you would be able to bring with you in order to satisfy. Right, sorry.
teams that are, or universities that have multiple teams, can the academic supervisor be the same guy for both?
For everybody, WebEx, that's yes. So if you have multiple teams from the same university, you can have the same academic supervisor. Any other questions, even on the WebEx? So we're kind of flowing through that now. Kind of surprised there wasn't more questions about the FF4 and the event. But if you have any more questions, I'm sure you can email them through to Christina and we'll respond. We do have more time. I think is there anything else after this?
No.
Or is that pretty much the webinar summed up? Yeah, okay, so we do have a bit of time there, so if you want to go back on that we've presented so far, if you want to talk or ask more questions about the CDR, we've quite a lot of questions about cost on the CDR, not so much on the design itself. So if you do have any other questions there, please use the time to ask us now while we're all in the room.
So one thing that we didn't really talk about at any length was the flying schedule and how the general event runs. So as Lambert briefed, you'll go through your scrutineering. Once you've got all your stamps and your stickers, you then go out to the flight line and fly. As you appreciate, 32 teams this year. This is the biggest year that we've had, and we've not got any extra days apart from the Sunday for scrutineering, just to try and remove a bit of the additional time for the airworthiness checks. We do run quite a tight schedule that we plan out quite a few months in advance. So when you arrive, you will be given a flight number. We'll have a schedule that will be put up on a whiteboard that will be in the hangar, visible to everybody, and there will be a team dedicated to running that schedule, reorganising flight times to make sure that if there's any issues or if teams aren't able to make their flight time, that we can get teams flying and keep the competition interesting. But I do ask of you, and this has been an issue throughout us running this challenge, and it's always been a challenge for us to try and keep the teams flying and to keep the competition running. Please keep us informed of any issues that you might have, whether it be technical, whether it's the fact that you don't have the person available who you need to operate your aircraft at the dedicated time, anything that you think might hold you up in meeting your flight time, please let us know as soon as you possibly can, because that way we can reschedule, we can reorganise, make sure that we can get another team out into that allotted flight time and keep things going. Because we don't want to get to the end of Tuesday and only have 50% of the teams have flown because there have been issues and we haven't been able to keep the schedule to time. So yeah, a big ask from me, please keep us informed of any issues like that. Yeah, and there may be delays, but again, it's a two-way conversation, this whole event. We will keep you as informed as we possibly can. We'll have a team of 3 or 4 schedulers who will point out to you all when you get there. They'll be running around between all the teams trying to keep things on time, trying to reorganise the schedule as required. So they will come and inform you if there's going to be any delays on our side. Again, if you can do the same. We're not trying to delay things and to cause issues, but things happen, and weather, for example, will not have a knock-on effect on everybody. So we just want to make sure that everything is fair and we give you all an equal opportunity to compete in the mission as well. So yeah.
Okay, so if there's no more questions, I'll just close this off here. So CDR, 8th of April, isn't it? Yeah. That has to be submitted. Make sure it's on time. You don't want to incur late penalties. Look at all the guidance documents. Make sure that when you're filling out each section, you're clear and concise with what you've done and how you've met the requirements. For the FF4, we've given you an example video. Again, it doesn't have to be that slick, but it's important that you contain all the information that the judges require about the capabilities of your UAV, whether it's the weight, it's the range, unique features, and all of that stuff needs to be shown to us because we don't have the interviews anymore. So the more information that helps us decide how ready you are to fly in the day, and that will be used to confirm the schedule. So the more information, the more positive we think about your aircraft, the earlier opportunity you're going to have to fly. So it does pay off to make the effort. Again, for the demonstration event, the guys went through about the location, about booking your accommodation early, about where to go on site, how you act on site safely. You have your own PPE gear. There was school kids on site one of the days as well, so mind your language. Both days.
So no swearing throughout the competition. I know it's tempting, but...
And as well, there will be other activities. There will be some sponsors there, and showcasing the opportunities with those sponsors. There'll also be a indoor drone event, is there?
Yeah, so we're planning on possibly doing some indoor drone activities on the Monday evening, but that will be our flight safety officer operating. We're not going to have a free-for-all operation, so it's essentially a demonstration we're thinking of doing for future events to try and expand the competition. There's some different things going on, so yeah, we're trialling it this year and see how well it goes.
Okay, so there will be a few more things going on as well, so we need to be aware of that. I'm trying to think, is there anything else we need to mention here to close off? If you have any more questions, email us. For those of you in the room, we'll be here for a little while yet, so you can come and talk to us if you want to. And then I'd just like to thank the IMechE staff, the judges, the officials, all the volunteers that helped make this competition happen, and also the students participating in it. Wish you all the best of luck. Thank you for attending and watching online.
Actually, I would like to ask for a round of applause to Stephen. Actually, Stephen did everything himself. I didn't have to worry about anything. He's been so helpful. So I'm so thankful. And thank you so much to Rachel, who's there monitoring everything. So thank you so much to also volunteers that came down today, and some of them woke up at 3 a.m. to get down here on time. They're so tired. Lambert, Alex, Amy, Hugh, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And yes, at the event, first of all, yeah, it's all so technical today, but don't forget you should have some fun. Make some new friends. And most importantly, take the opportunity to speak to the sponsors and officials on site. It's such a great opportunity for you to be recruited, and a lot of our team members have been recruited in the past. And that's a really good time for you to show your skills, to be proactive, to be, go and speak to them, They're people like us, they're really nice, all of them, very friendly, and they're there to help you to promote, what you're doing and give you the knowledge. So yeah, thank you so much for coming today. Really nice to meet you, and I'll see you at Belfast. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you to everyone on WebEx. We're going to shut down now.